Hey guys, so welcome to Devil's Advocate number 8. Please like and subscribe, and thank you for watching. It means a lot to me that you guys are watching at least my longer form content, like my podcast. This is probably one of my favorite content I make on my channel. Because I could talk with one of my best friends. It's a fun thing. And it's just really I want you guys to feel like we're just shooting the shit, just talking, having fun, and just normal men just talking to each other. So I hope you guys like it, and I hope you guys will subscribe to watch future content. Again, Mr. Nothing Special, along with my co-host, Mr. Average Joe. Average Joe. So yeah. Today, I want to it's going to be kind of a topic that I was thinking about talking about. How women in general, specifically black women, are terrible role models and give terrible advice.
Where is my alcohol? Because Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna try it out. I mean, I think it'll be an interesting topic, and we could see it think about it in the large scale. Again, this is more generalization. I know there are women that give sound advice or I know there's women that give sound advice. Are there women that are good role models? I kind of beg to differ, but that's my opinion too. What do you think so far? What do you think about this hot button topic?
I mean, I could rattle off the names of a lot of black women who I think are good role models.
Name me one or two.
Maya Angelou, Rosa Parks, right?
I mean, okay.
Angela Bassett. If you want to get more modern. No? What? Are you serious?
Okay. Naming career women is not really
career women. That's what I mean. We're talking about people who are in the public eye. So if I'm going to name somebody, it's going to be a career woman. What you mean?
But see, I think that's a problem too, because let's say the difference between, let's say, a man, he could be a career man, but he could also have a stable family, right? Husband, wife, children. I believe, to be honestly, and it's in my opinion, a good example of a woman is a woman that has a family. That's in my opinion. A woman that focuses on her career, and then she's like Angela Bassett and stuff like that. Like
Angela Bassett is a career woman with a stable family. She's been married to Courtney Vance for years.
Yeah, but I mean, I forgot. It's like I'm again. I'm not necessarily just Angela Bassett. I'm just saying in general, career women are not necessarily a good example, because let me say this. How I said they're not a good role model is because they don't. That isn't an easy accomplishment. So for what I said, right, perfection or close to it is hard. So let's say why I say I don't know her well. I don't know Angela besides for her career. I mean, being a celebrity. But let's say a career woman, to have a good career and then have a good family, stable family, that's very hard, and it's kind of unlikely, in my opinion, because I think most women will not accomplish it all, right? So you will have the outliers, correct? There's nothing that's impossible, really. But again, to be a role model is like you're shooting for the stars, and things might be unlikely. So for a woman to, oh my God, this woman had it all. Well, let me try to do the same thing. Does that? I don't think that's a good, image for a woman, for average women to strive for, because most likely you will fail.
So So why is it different for men?
Because you gotta think with this. On the flip side, it is because of males' natures and gender roles. Now, men have the leeway to not be 100% in raising a child's life. But I mean, I'm not putting away that men should have a good active role in their children's life, but because of the the role as the provider, his focus is providing for his family. Having being able to provide the necessities for his family. So it gives him the leeway where that partnership works better. I believe in general, the partnership of a man working and focusing on his career while he has a wife that focuses on maintaining the household, generally, which is traditional aspect, works more often than, let's say, a woman focusing on her career and then maybe having time for her family. Because you got to think on the flip side. Let's say on the flip side where she focused on her career and now her husband stays home. We talked about this in last episode where you talk about leadership, and if a man he's not the provider and the woman's provider. And is it possible that she will follow his lead? And because he's now a stay-at-home husband, making either pretty much nothing or a little bit, while his main focus is the kids and the household, taking care of the household, cooking, cleaning, the children, stuff like that. I personally believe, and technically, statistically, it shows that those relationships probably won't work.
Okay.
So,
I know we're gonna get to videos, but like, I don't know. Serena Williams is a successful career woman, an athlete.
But she doesn't have kids.
She does have children, and she's married.
But isn't she retired?
Well, yeah, she's retired now.
Isn't she just
Why is she not a good, but is she not a good role model?
Well, okay, but look at this, right? Again, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't really know these celebrities' personal lives that well. But I think she had careers within her retirement, so late in her life. And again, that is not realistic to most women, because again, that's already a bad thing to promote. And she got married late in her life too. I believe. I'm not certain, but I know that she started her personal life after she are close to her retirement. So really, I mean, that's a fallacy to where she couldn't maintain both. Yeah, okay, she became like a really successful tennis player, but she couldn't maintain both. Now I think, and I'm not even sure. I mean, I think she's completely retired or something.
Well, yeah, she's retired now, but
yeah. So now she focuses on her family. So I mean, that's not necessarily a logical. Again, I believe role models is a beacon for. I want to emulate that.
Okay, all right. So before I name any more Black women role models, what does a good role model for a woman look like?
Again, maybe this is me being sexist, but I believe a woman, a good role model woman is a wife, is a mother, a woman that supports her man to accomplish more. So she is the one who they always say, right? The old saying goes, like, behind every good man, there's what is it? A good woman too, stuff like that.
Okay, yeah.
Where she is just his, what is it? Like just in religion, help me.
Yeah,
right?
partner. Okay.
The man that I praise and that you sometimes criticize, Kevin Samuels. He said it. I don't know really anything about it, but the Bible says a woman is a helpmate to a man. So that's her. I believe but even if I'm not religious, I see that as logic, the logical um, view, where a woman is the one that pushes the man to be great. So he is in the limelight while she is the one who's supporting him and pushing him to be the best version of himself, while taking care of things that he doesn't need to take care of because she's taking care of it, like the household, children, his personal needs. So I believe that is a good example of a woman, because let's say a woman that focuses on her career is great. I mean, it's modern day. You can focus on your career, but I don't believe in general that is a good prospect or good outlook for a woman, because not everyone can be a Serena Williams or whatever, because waiting later in your life to start a family or to have kids it's a danger for women. I mean, it's weird. I don't believe in religion, but I just feel like a lot of people do. So why I say back to religion is that, why do you think women are, well, maybe I don't need to bring it back to religion, but maybe why do you believe that women are biologically made to not be able to produce children later in life rather than early in life? Because again, a girl's period starts early in her life, so she's already in the process of being able to give birth. And I'm not saying that it's a good thing for her to start early, but I'm saying, like, it's a process where the earlier the better for her own health and the health of the children. And I just think that now, and it is common now where women are pushing it off later in life, but there are results of that where it shows in society where we're at a lower birth rate, and less and less women are having children late in their lives too. So I don't know.
What does because I have some thoughts too, but first,
Uh-huh.
what does a good role model for a man look like?
A man on his purpose. I always say, right, why again, we don't have to necessarily label it like red pill or anything, but I always believe red pill, or at least men content, is about men being the best version of themselves. And I believe that's a good role model where he is at his best, where it's either looks, it is a personality, it's either state of mind, and it's either finances, where you could either have a little bit of everything to be the best version of yourself. I mean, and for an average man, it's just being the best version of yourself, where you take care of your family, you hold on to your duties, again, providing, protecting, and not slacking on improving yourself. I think that type of man is, a good man. And in general, right? I think fathers should be like that. Let's say I mean, even though I'm not saying I know your family extensively, but even your father, I think he's a good role model, where he has hold down his family for and he's been with his wife for for all your life, so that's a good role model. And it's not a role model where I'm saying that he's out being a celebrity or anything like that, but I'm saying, like, we're average people, we're average men, right? And that's the point where I think being men at their best is already a good image, right? Whatever that is, right? You could say that, even if okay, let's go and say this. Leonardo DiCaprio. Okay, although he's not a family man, but I think, and I say it, men and women are different. So I make that a distinction, because although, yeah, Leonardo DiCaprio is not a family man, but he's a man that pushed himself to be the top pinnacle man, right? Of his whatever, of his industry and stuff like that. So I believe men's purpose, because To be guideless, I think it's dangerous for men. Because again, you have these men like these and you think about this, when we were younger, there was no such thing as incel men. Or at least that wasn't labeled, or it wasn't such a huge group like that. But I think over time, more and more men are guideless. They're purposeless. Men are men need to feel needed, right? They need to feel needed by either a woman or by society or by family. I think that's in our biology, in a sense, right? Because again, you go back to history that we are hunters, right? So to hunt, someone needs a hunter. Someone needs that. So to like either we build, we create, whatever, men need to feel needed. Men need to feel like they're doing something with a purpose. And it's kind of why I made this channel, this podcast, this whatever, because I want to this is my, I don't know, it's my purpose, but I mean, I feel like this has been a purpose for me, right? It's been my goal, and it's helped me, right, to feel a hole that I have. So I think any man that strives to be the best version of himself and to find a goal, to find a purpose, to find a direction is a good role model, in my view.
Okay.
What do you think?
I agree with you about a male role model. So I think, yes, it's dangerous for a man not to have a direction in his life, because he may take his energy and use it in a negative way or in a destructive way if he doesn't have a purpose or a direction to go in. I think a man who is being the best version of himself is a good role model. But I think a person who is being the best version of themselves is a good role model for anyone across the board. So I think that goes for women too. And here's the thing. I think a couple things where we might differ. Like I'm not. Of course, I think a good role model for a man is a man who works hard. I think included in that should be a man who works hard, who's confident. Yes, who take care of his family if he's a family man, but a man who makes good decisions that aren't just selfish ones, and that he knows how to respect himself and others and treat other people correctly and do good for more than just himself. I think that's a good role model. And I think that's true of women role models too. And I think there are plenty on both sides. I think it's okay to be single. So every woman role model doesn't need to be a wife or a mother. But if you are a wife or mother and you're looking for someone to be a role model, then yes, a good role model for a woman is somebody who can take care of home. That does not mean, I don't think that means that that's a person who does not focus on their career either, because I think there are plenty of role models. There are plenty of women who are family women and career women, and who are Black women and who are being successful at both. And I think it applies differently when you're talking about the average person. So you and I are middle class men who may end up with middle class women, and neither of us are going to be Beyonce or Jay-Z, right? so that's out of question.
Maybe.
Maybe. I'm not saying it's impossible.
No, yeah.
The nap. So, but I would cite Beyonce as a good role model because she's a career woman. She works hard, and her job is a very difficult job. It takes more than just talent. It does take a lot of hours. It takes a lot of her energy. She still, as far as we can tell publicly, because we're not in their lives, but she still also raises two daughters, and she is in a marriage with a high value man, right? And she's doing all of that. And if you are a woman who is a middle class woman, what you can learn from Beyonce is industriousness, right? because in an average household in 2023, most people, I mean, if we're talking realistically in our situation, need or could greatly benefit from having two incomes. So it's not often that you have a man who is the sole provider for their house without struggles. A lot of the time, especially in our modern day, you have a man and a woman who are married and who are working and who are taking care of children. So if Beyonce is your role model, then she's someone who's doing both, which means it's possible, right? Just like it's possible for me to look to Jay-Z. I don't know. I don't know if I say him as the greatest role model, but he's providing for his family. And as far as I can tell, he's taking care of his kids, right? But Beyonce, in the public eye, is very involved in her children's life. And she's still a career woman, which means it's possible. And she's still a wife, as far as we can tell, a good wife to her husband. So I don't think that there's anything negative about that. I think that's fantastic. Okay. And I think that's a Black woman who is a great role model. And I think there are a number of Black women in the public eye, because we could only be talking about Black women in the public eye because, you know, I'm not seeing the average woman on TV every day, right? So there are plenty of Black women who are successful in their careers and who are family women and who I think are good role models.
I'll be negative.
Okay.
Because I don't think Beyonce's a good role model.
What?
Let's say this, right? Okay. I've said it before. I said it just earlier that I don't think any woman that promotes, that try, I mean, like, and it's great. She's successful in both marriage and career. That is great. But I believe that exceptions don't make the rules. She's an exception. I don't okay. because I said it before. It's true that most families nowadays do need two incomes, but they don't need two career people. Career and a job is very different. Okay, I want to make this distinction because they require different amount of time. Plain and simple. They require different amount of time and effort and just dedication. I mean, like, I believe a man can marry, I don't know, a McDonald's woman, and that would be just as fine. So that's not necessarily a career, and that's not necessarily not a two-income household, right? She's still working, but her job is not a necessity. It is just an added benefit. I'm just saying that, like, career, because look at it, Beyonce, not every woman can reproduce it. She spent most of her life focused on her career, and just so happened, because she's lucky to meet a guy that fits her, that's on her level or maybe above, that fits her, and she could still do her career if she wants to, and then have a good family. I said, I don't believe, again, giving that an image to modern women, that's what I'm saying. You're a role model to average women. You're not a role model to the exceptional women, to the exceptions, right? You're a role model to the average woman. And to show the average woman that, oh, you can do both? No, that's a lie. You can't. Or it's unlikely that you could. If you could do it, I think all the power to you. But I believe that's the problem, right, with our modern world, that we delude women. That's the problem. We say, you go, girl. You can have your career and then have your family when you're 35 or 40 or stuff like that. No, you're deluding the woman, because you it's not easy. And when you think that, when you push it, and women do, because I've heard stories where women, like, let's say they focus on being a lawyer. Being a lawyer, you're going to spend practically your early life, no different than Beyonce, focus on your career. And then when you're 35, 40, it's not a good, smart decision to now, I want to start looking for a man and start having a family. That's not a good idea.
But so, it's okay for a man.
To see, I would say this. Biology, men I've seen men have children late in their lives. So technically, he can wait, right? Men can have kids well late into their life. So, and men focus on, like I said before, men and women have different roles. He should be the provider and protector. When you provide, well, you focus on your career to establish the provisions. You don't need to be 100% in your children's life. You do need to be active in their life, but you don't need to be 100%. So, and a woman, I mean, we could flip the roles where it's hard for there to be a good balance in life like that, where both people are career lives while their children who's taking care of their children really? You give them to nannies or you're paying daycares to do it. That's also not ideal. So I don't think that's a great model as well. And I want to say that, like, well, oh man, I just forgot what I was going to say. I forgot what I was going to say. Well, but that part, I just think that we are lying to women and thinking they can be the next Beyonce. Oh wait, no, I want to say Beyonce is a terrible role model because she spouts crap. Single women, all these things to promote singlehood. How's that? You're not promoting familyhood, right? So, I mean, besides your personal life, but you're also telling women to be single while you're married. So really, you're flipping flopping. You're trying to make money from women being single, promoting the party life, promoting, being on your own while you are with your man and your family, being happy. You're not promoting marriage. So there's a disconnect where you can see that she's money grabbing while her life does not necessarily reflect her music. And that's fine. That's entertainment. But I'm just saying, like, that's not a role model make. That's an entertainer, yeah, but that's not a role model. Because, like I said, that's the part where women are terrible at giving advice. Because her music, which is not advice, but technically people take it as advice. Where, they yell it to the anthem, oh, single lady stuff. Things like that. Because I've heard women, spout those lines, so, and you got to think, it's average people, how they take it. And average people will take up the music, promote the music, and live the lifestyle that the music promotes. While they're not living the lifestyle that she's actually living with, where she focuses on her family. So, yeah.
I mean, see, I think it's okay to be single.
I see. Oh, okay. Now, see, that's the thing. But now you may remember that too. I think, and you're right. It is okay to be single. It's okay to not have kids, but, and I think it's okay. It's for the individual. I think it's not okay for the collective, because, excuse me, human beings, whether you think it's God or evolution or whatever, we are designed to reproduce. We are designed to mate up, right? We're designed to be with each other and to produce offspring. That is what our it's in our DNA. We are made, whether, like I said, whether you believe in evolution or you believe in religion, that's just how it is. That's how the animal, like, if we always disconnect ourselves from the animal kingdom. Mm-hmm. Animals have only a few things they were in my life: eating, surviving, reproducing. That's it. Mm-hmm. They're not thinking about if you're single, you're dead, right? Because you're not passing. Every animal, every creature on this earth, in their DNA is to pass on a legacy. There are animals that will kill themselves right after them producing with another animal, because their main purpose is just reproducing. And if that's a part of an animal's DNA or animal or insect's DNA, you guys know that that's important. So yeah, You single, whatever, that's fine for the individual, but it is illogical and a detriment as a society, right? Because we're not made to be that. We're not made to be alone, and we are made to reproduce. Because you got to think, one of the things that can make a person insane is loneliness. Okay, so you know.
Okay, I have more thoughts, but I don't know. We're half an hour in. Do you want to hit a video first?
Yeah, we can hit a video. So going back to what I said before, how black women are terrible role models and terrible advice.
I disagree.
Well, he's definitely wrong.
I just want to be on the record with that. Like,
but in our last podcast, which please check it out, we talked about I believe her name is Ebony K. Williams. She was the woman that talked about not wanting to date bus drivers. You may think that she's not a role model or she's not giving advice, but people online, and which is crazy as it is nowadays, the meaning of them is influencers. So they influence people, right? They affect how other people think. Plain and simple. So her rhetoric has an effect on the population. So let's okay.
Shitting on the salary, I think just in the word itself, bus driver sounds like manual labor. It sounds like I don't want to date you.
What's wrong with manual labor?
No, but that's the thing is like bus drivers, like this is what I'm saying is like I've seen a bus so many times. Like £15, like if I went on Indeed and saw £15 an hour job, I would not mind. But it's something about driving a big red bus for me personally. I just find it, I wouldn't even say embarrassing because there's people who drive buses. But if I'm a news reporter and you're like there's people like tapping the oyster card, the school kids at 3 p.m. on your bus, and I'm here reporting globally, like, oh my gosh, your king's been coronated, and my man is driving kids from school.
Yeah. So we're like, what? It's like, get off your high horse. I talk for a living. You're just talking.
But it's shitting on.
And this is the example. Mm-hmm. This is the example. I mean, whether you disagree or not, it's I see the examples, right? Another thing is that single mother culture, right? Single motherhood is it's a big problem of society. And a sad truth of it is Black women have the highest rate of single motherhood. Out of all races, Black women do, right? They have the highest amount of single mothers. How could you not say that there are terrible examples, terrible role models, and terrible advice giving to Black women when one of I believe, the biggest destruction of Black communities is because of single motherhood? That is a fact, is a statistical fact, right?
I don't think it is, but okay.
It is a statistical. Oh no, it's a statistical fact that Black women have the highest rate of single motherhood. But I'm taking, a correlation in essence, right? How honestly I believe Black communities are deteriorating. And one of it is that because of single motherhood. I've said it before. Single mothers do not equal communities. Okay? You may think that single mothers are families. They're not. They're broken families. So a broken family a whole bunch of broken families do not equal a community. And so now the supposed modern day Black community is made up of a bunch of single mother families. Yeah, single mother broken families. That's not a community.
It's a community if it needs to be. And here's the thing. You're saying single families led by single mothers are broken families and they don't make a community. And we're blaming the women for that. And we're blaming Black women for that. And I don't think that's fair. because, man, this is such a deep conversation. It's crazy. Okay, so I don't even want to like cite like the whole history of the United States every time we talk about this, but the number one tactic for keeping slaves enslaved was breaking up families. From the
No,
right?
I want to say, right, if you want to go on, you're right. I 100% agree that the government back in the day started this domino effect. If we know anything about the creation of what is it? Welfare is the start destruction of the black community. Because now, and I'm going to say you're wrong in that, yes, it is because of women. Because it is 100% because of women. Because the start of the welfare state is when women now said that they don't need a man in the house. Because now the government is taking care of your shit. Now the government is taking care of your family. Because why? Well, they don't need you now because the government is taking care of it. So, no, you're wrong in that sense that, yes, it's 100% a woman's fault. But it's her fault. But it had help from, yes, I believe the racist, well, maybe not racist, but maybe racist, whatever, racist regime of destroying or weakening black communities.
So that never stopped first. It's not like a thing that just happened way back when. It's a thing that happens today.
Yeah.
Right. So we agree on that. Two, welfare isn't the way they break up families. The government's not just handing out money to everyone, because if they were really handing out money to everyone, they would have fixed the water crisis in Flint, Michigan, and there wouldn't be poor people because we'd be a
no. It's not about poor people. No.
So listen. Like we're saying, we're painting this picture like these women are getting on welfare and getting free handouts, and so they don't need a man. But I know from seeing it up close that you got to jump through a lot of hoops just to get your next meal when you're on welfare, and a lot of women and people on
you just need to prove that you have no man in the house.
Also work, and there's plenty of men on welfare, and there's plenty of men in the streets on drugs, and there's plenty of men locked up in prisons unjustly, right?
I'm not okay. A prison, yes, prison part is also another way to break up. I'm not.
But if all these things are factors, why are we saying women have ruined the communities because they're single mothers?
Okay, why? Right? Let's say why. One, because like I said, to get on welfare is that you have to not have a man in the house. That's already a crazy thing, and this is the thing where, let's say this, welfare is a safety net for women. It's a safety net. So when you have a safety net, well, you have something to fall back on. You're like, okay, fine, I choose a terrible man, but you know what? I have welfare. So really, I don't need to care that, okay, I want to break up this family because I choose a terrible man. So now I could take a step back. Now, let's also think about this. Although, yes, the ridiculous crime laws and all that stuff was a detriment, but it is not. You cannot say that we have no hand. I mean, people have no accountability. You choose to deal drugs, do all these things too.
People get locked up for stuff they didn't do. People get punished. If a black men get punished more for things for crime. So, for instance, there are still people in jail for marijuana possession.
And I said that. Right? I said that.
Fine in other places. It's legal in other places. Some people, white people, are using it to run a business. So they're overly policed. They're overly punished, and then so the community's been broken up from forces outside. It's not women doing that.
Okay, it's like, let's say this, right? I'm not necessarily agreeing that there's not forces outside, but I am disagreeing that it is our choice to take these forces. Like, let's say this: there are groups of like, you think of this, if you're saying marijuana was the thing where it's going to bring, and every black person will be in jail, that's because it's not like that. Because there are people who choose, like, I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to go that path. So let's take accountability where, let's say, even the prison thing, yes, they are over policed or they're very scrutinized, but there are people who just don't even bother with that stuff. But that's beside the point. Where, again, I said, even the welfare thing, it's welfare is for everyone. Okay, any race can get it. Yet, why do you think the majority of welfare is in black communities? Because they're abusing it, where there's no focus on family, because welfare should be the last resort, and yet welfare, just like, let's say, birth control, right, or abortion or stuff, it's like a get out of jail free card. Where, okay, you know what? Hell, I choose a terrible man. I'm not going to take the consequences for that. I'm not going to try to work on a relationship. I'm not going to try to make sure I pick a good man. I have now food stamps. I have the government taking care of me, taking care of my responsibilities, or helping me with my responsibilities. Where before welfare, it was a man that took up that slack. Right? A man took up the position that welfare would take, that food stamps would take, that these provisions from the government would take. So, and you think, I work, I mean, you do too. We are in the black community, I work around it. I know people and stuff like that. They use it as a crutch. And when you have a safety net, that means you don't need to take the responsibility or the accountability of making sure you, one, choose a good man, two, make sure your relationship will work.
I'm going to point out a couple of things. One, if a woman finds herself in a position where she's the only provider of the household, right? She needs to spend time with her kids, and she needs to work, right? If welfare helps her do that, right? If she can spend less time working and spend more time with her children, that's a positive thing. Check this out. Two things. And this is just in PA. In PA, to qualify for family assistance, that's their only welfare program, you have to be a resident of Pennsylvania, a U.S. citizen, or a legal alien, or a qualified alien. Unemployed or underemployed, which means you can still be employed and be on welfare and have low or very low income. It says nothing about whether you're a man or a woman or whether you have a man in the household. That's one. Two, check this out, because I had to look it up. In 2022, this is just last year, federal government projected to spend $1.3 trillion on welfare programs in the U.S. $165 billion, it says, going towards nutrition assistance, and $1.15 billion on SNAP. Here's my point, though. It says 38.8% of welfare recipients are white, 39.8% are black. That's basically the same number.
Okay.
15% are Hispanic, 2% are Asian, and 3% are other. So the idea that there's this massive pandemic where black people are just on welfare everywhere is not true.
Let me debunk it. Let me debunk you. Okay.
All right.
One, no government will what kind of government will say don't have a man in the house? That's idiotic. No.
It's not a requirement. I could be
no. I get it. No, but you gotta think why the requirement. Listen to a requirement. you have to be underemployed or make a very low amount. Well,
Yeah.
2 household income will most likely not qualify. It is a workaround, right? It is a workaround where if there's only a 1 income household, there is a likely chance. How do you get that 1 income household? By not having a partner. So it is a workaround. It is language that, you know what, you are being fooled on, where you could interpret. How do you be a low income household? By having 1 income family, right? That's one. So that's already telling you, well, you know what? How do you get that? Well, you're just by yourself. So right there, that's part of it. And the thing that you're deluding and stuff like that, you said 1 is 39 for black people and about 38 for white people. Well, U.S. is a population of over 60% white people. So I think the population for black people is about 30. So white people outnumber black people by a good margin. But yet in population, they outnumber black people for a good margin. But in a program, they barely like overcome black. They're under black people by only 1%. But you're not taking into account population size. White people outnumber black people, yet black people outnumber them in the welfare system.
So then you're saying that white people are just so much more industrious than black
men. No.
So much more industrious than black men. Because I think it's the other way around. And I think most of the time you can even have a 2-person household in a black community where both are underemployed.
I'm not saying they can't. I'm not saying you can't.
I'm saying it's not even just the exception. I'm saying it happens often.
I say that's the exception. That is the exception.
If my name, do you know how many jobs I would have missed out on if my name weren't Addison? Because when you submit a resume and they get an idea that you have a black name or you're a black person, you're less likely to get the job. And then how many jobs hire people with records? And how many
first and how many right?
How many are low income?
Huh?
How many jobs hire people with records, and how many of those jobs are low income?
Okay, first of all, you're right. Not many people hire people with records. I agree, but that's not that. You gotta think that's accountability.
No, no, but see, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, because because outside of the black community, that's not even a thought, right? But in the black community where you're over police, right? It's like you're creating the problem. This is how it's been for black people in America ever since we got here. You create a problem and then blame us for you create our problem and then blame us for. I'm not saying you, Dan. Of course.
No, I get it.
Create our problem and then blame us for our problem. You break up our families and be like, y'all can't keep your families together, right? You disallow us any kind of inheritance or ability to make money, and then you say y'all don't work hard enough to make money. You look at it, right? And then you say you guys are all criminals.
No, that's
what happens in the black community. So if you have a large percentage of the community on welfare, I'm not saying that there aren't lazy people who are taking advantage of the system. I'm not saying that doesn't happen. But the idea that it's a black problem is nuts, because that's another example of a problem that we didn't create that we're getting blamed for.
No, so let me say this, right? I'm saying this. I'm not saying that you're wrong in a sense, because yes, you had outside influence marionetting, right, the situation to now cause the outcome. But what I'm saying is that, again, if I have a gun, what I do with that gun is up to me. But that gun is there. So my thing is that you're right in the sense that, there are outside influence, the welfare system. It's an outside influence that, you know what? It's there. It's the gun. It's the loaded gun. But at the end of the day, and in 2023, that is the issue that I do not discredit how the past has been. I do not discredit the unfairness and the racial divide and racial destruction. I do
But
not.
if we just
do
did
that.
everything perfectly, it wouldn't be a problem, right?
I'm saying that, like, we're not what, like, in the beginning, right? If you watch, please watch our older episodes. I said that the problem is that we are not trying to affect change, right? We are not actively, and I'm not saying, let's say this, we're not moving towards a change. We're actually moving to either keep ourselves at a disadvantage or move ourselves in a worser position. Because, like I said, single motherhood is only getting worse. It's not getting better. So the direction is like not getting better. It's getting worse over time. I'm saying this, where one thing you brought up is your name. I'm saying that, like, yes, maybe 20, 30 years ago, that makes sense. But 2023, we have so many people trying to be woke. Companies are out the wazoo trying to be more diversified. I'm thinking that we have to make the change, and I'm saying that we're not even trying to. And that's where a thing where I want to say that it is people that continue to spout these terrible rhetorics, these be terrible role models, giving terrible advice, terrible guidance to the next generation. Because, and I'm going to show you in a bit, right, that it's still going on to this day where we are minorities, Black people, have no good guidance, and they're continuing it, right? I did a video, which won't be out soon, but it will be out eventually. A woman having 5 kids by one man and still not, and didn't marry him. Now expect the next man to marry her. 5 girls. She also said that her mother chose the man, her father was in prison. So I said in that video where it is a cycle that we are, or as blunt as it be, Black people are reproducing. Her mother is a single mother. Now her daughter is a single mother. Now she produced, it's going to be drastic, 5 future single mothers. It is a cycle that is repeating, because children are very likely to emulate what they see. And that's one thing. And we put on the statistics that it is a high likelihood for Black communities to have single mothers. So you add those up. I'm not saying it's a 100% possibility. I mean 100% reality. I'm saying it's a high probability. So this is where I say that, where you may think, right, a person like Kevin Samuels, he may be harsh in how he says things, but that's what I believe is proper guidance, proper role model, proper advice, where we need to wake up women. Because I still believe it. I still hold it true, because we could debate it. Women hold the power, so women are at fault. And I believe why I want to do it like Kevin Samuel, hold a mirror to, like, so you could show that the mistakes of these women, these single mothers, so the next generation do not repeat that mistake. Do not see that your mother was a single mother, so you should do it. No, you should not, because your mother is a terrible image to you. She's a terrible role model for you. Although, yes, single mother, she worked hard to provide for you. She tried to take care of you the best you can. That's great. But that is not how it should have been. She should have picked the best man possible, where he's on morals and characters, where she knew that, you know what, he at least could be a good father. I see that he has good father characteristics. More things where you evaluate a man better on characteristics that is more conducive, right, to creating a family. That's what you talk to women about, and show them that you must be a helpmate. You must focus on your family. You must focus on the strength of your family, being together. You should really focus on, weathering the storm, following your marriage vows. You should have focused on a man that has to marry you to be able to have a child with you. Because giving a child to a man is the most precious gift or most important gift any woman can give a man. Right? So what he can give her is marriage and commitment. So make an equal exchange value. Right? That's what you teach women. Be blunt with it. And Addison loves to say, it's how you say it, not what you say, but I think it is wrong where you should be direct. It don't matter how you say it. It matters what you say, because you need to say the right words to really affect the change. Because I believe all these years, this women narrative, how we talk to women, has not affected change.
So why isn't that true on the man's side? That's all I'm saying. Because I've
said before, right?
We different view this way. Like I think when you apply something to a woman, I don't always see why it doesn't apply to a man.
Okay. Listen, look at this logic. Do you think all men on earth are good?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. Right? Remember that. So the issue is that the thing is that it's the burden of performance. I've said it before. The problem is there, and do you believe you said it before? Men and women aren't equal. They're not the same, or maybe
they're not the same.
The same. I don't think they're equal too, but that could be for another. But okay, they're not the same.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot change, right? It's idiotic to change a bad man to be something good. I think that's idiotic, because he's going to be what he is.
I disagree.
I don't know about you, but I don't think you could change an abusive man to be a better man. I don't think so.
So I'm not saying that a woman should get in a relationship with a bad man and try to change him. That's not what I'm saying. But what are we doing here, right? We're
doing, right? One thing, right? I said it, right? But to make, again, we're nobody's fathers. So
Absolutely.
We can't force anybody to be better. I want to promote men to be better. So for those men that, you got to think, the men that will be better are the men that are susceptible and want to be better. That's the difference, right? Men that are abusers or just terrible, shitty men, they don't care. They don't want to be better. It's just how it is. But again, what I'm saying is that, and you believe the world's fair? No. So it's part of that. It's the unfairness of the world. The problem, women are the ones to bear children. So the burden of performance, unfortunately, and it's unfair, is on them. Women choose the men that can become fathers. Men are not the ones that will choose the women, right, to become mothers. Because if outside of illegal stuff, you cannot force a woman to have a child. Women say, I'm going to have this child or not. And in 2023, it is a woman's choice if she will have a child or not. So it's an unfair reality, but women have the burden of performance on who is produced in the next generation. So if a woman gets with a terrible man and produce a child with this terrible man that shouldn't be a father, and now this child is fatherless or with a father that's terrible, well, it's on her, because she produced this broken family, this terrible family. That's just how it is. She should have chose better. Let's say on the flip side, if a man, right, got with a woman, he's a good, decent man, but she is the worst woman, toxic, everything. He still cannot force her to have a child, because he's a decent man anyway. He's not going to force her to have a child. She may choose to have it. That's up to her. But It's not. It's still within our power. So even if we could
We can't
change
force,
men to
we
be
can't
decent,
force her to have a child, but
Huh?
she can't force him to give her a child either.
but it's not. But before they have a child, it's just like men men would naturally just have sex. I'm just saying, like,
But that's letting us all off the hook. Then we just have sex. Like humans don't have that. Like that urge doesn't go both ways. I get it. Women are the ones who bear children, but we're acting like if it's just in a man's nature to want to have sex, so he's gonna have sex. Like we're animals. But
you forget what I said.
Women should be the ones to fight that urge, and not a man.
But you guys said you gotta hear what I said, right? The world's unfair. That's just how it is. I mean, what it's unfair.
And we're okay with saying that.
Let's say this, because a man and woman could have equal urge of sex. They could, and they probably do. But the problem is the world is unfair. It is 100% unfair. There's nothing anyone can say that could change that. It isn't. One, I said it. There are both good and bad people, and in between. That's just how it is. Good and bad people within men and women. It don't matter. Second, the world is unfair. Third, well, women are the ones who have the right, who are, I don't know, you could say godly defined, to have the power to choose who has the right to become a parent. There's no, even if a man has sex with a woman, he can't not force her to have a child. But a woman that has sex with a man can force him to have a child. Plain and simple. It's just the world's unfair. Because, like, you think like this, that's already unfairness, right? Right there. It's unfairness. Women have the power where she can make you a father, regardless of your personal freedom. No matter what you say, she will have that power to make you a father. That's already unfair. So really, the world is just unfair. But I'm saying that at the end of the day is that because women have that power, I'm going to say it again, with great power comes great responsibility. She has that power. So as unfair as it sounds, it is her 100% responsibility to choose the right man to be a father. I'm not talking about having sex, because whatever, you do what you want with your body. But the problem is that we produce the next generation of productive human beings, and then you're already putting them on the wrong foot in life. And then you expect them to be productive human beings? No.
Okay, but then we say that a woman who says, you know what, Thru, I'm not going to have a child, I'm going to focus on my career, and then later in life finds a high value man because she's made it to a certain level in her career that she's on that tier, and has a child with a good man who can provide, and where they both can provide for and be in this child's life, and we say they're still not a good role model. Beyonce.
Because I said it, right? You even said later on, I'm just, okay, again, one, Beyonce promotes something that she doesn't live.
Yeah, but here's the thing, because I'm putting that aside for a second.
Okay.
I get that.
Then,
but
it's unrealistic. I mean, it's not
about women in the terms of in as far as being mothers and being wives.
Okay, but do you agree that it is a biological fact that as women age, it gets harder for them to have a child?
Yeah.
Okay.
It still happens if that's what they want.
We're not. See,
okay,
well,
so right. It gets more difficult for them to have the child. But what's the point?
Huh?
Then maybe they don't have children.
Plenty of fine. That's great. No, I'm not. See, this is what I'm saying. Now you're doing it like a woman.
Okay.
Right? You're speaking like a woman or a feminist man.
Okay.
By speaking in exceptions. A woman that has a child in her late 40s, late 30s or late 40s, yeah, that happens. But there's a reason why that's not doctor recommended, because that is not a recommended thing to do. And am I saying that's impossible? No, I'm not saying that's impossible. I'm saying that in general society, that is not a good way to think about it. because like there's an athlete, right? I don't know what she is, a sprinter or whatever, a track star athlete. I forgot her name, but she focused purely on her career, right? I think now she's in her 40s. No man to speak of, right? And I think she's a virgin too.
Okay.
No man to speak of. Now, in her 40s, she's trying to find a man and trying to, freeze her eggs or, have all these science stuff to have children. And she's having trouble to do it. So really, let's say if she was in her early 30s or mid 20s, and she said, "Oh, focus on your career. I'm listening to, let's say I listen to Beyonce, right? She's focused on her career, and then later on in life, find a husband and have children. Now I'm in my 40s. Beyonce, didn't you say I could do this? Why is it so hard? I can't even one expecting to find a man soon, because that's the thing you're not thinking about, right? A lot of women focus on their career, and now they're in their late 30s, 40s. They want to find a man. Well, you're not going to find a man once you just like, oh, I'm ready to find a man. He's right outside my door. That doesn't happen. Okay? It doesn't happen like it's going to fall on your lap. So one, you could spend a year, maybe 2 years, which is sometimes it's ridiculous for a man to like, okay, let's have a kid after a year and get married after the year. No, that doesn't necessarily. A decent man with character and values, he's not just going to marry you within a year and have kids with you within that same year, right? That's not a good thing for a man, because you don't know what the outcome of it. Because it's time women don't have to spend to get to know a man. You got to think. I've said this before in other things. It's a unfair life. Women are on a time crunch. It's unfair. They are on a time crunch. As they get older, things get harder for them. And there's a high likelihood that, let's say, I know that for men too, I mean, things as men get older, it's not as easy for a man to have a child, but he can. And one thing that, we got to think, men do it differently. One thing that as men get older, their sperms are not as healthy as they were younger. That's true. But the difference with men is that he can still have a child with a younger woman. Right? That's the difference. But a woman, she's the incubator of a child. So even if she tries to have a younger man, it doesn't necessarily mean that her body is ready for it. It's a sad fact where men, they're just giving it out. They're not storing it. So their bodies don't need to be 100% younger to be able to, produce a child, really. So it goes back to, it's just unfair, but it's reality. So what Fresh and Fit say is that we live in reality, not in possibilities.
What's too old to have a child?
What?
What's too old to have a child for a woman?
Medically, too old is I believe medically, they said as you pass 35, it only gets harder.
Okay,
I think
it's more difficult past 35.
It gets more difficult. And I think the percentage or the egg drop, I mean, I'm not a doctor. I just know that it gets your eggs drop. I mean, your eggs get even cut in half or some shit like that. Your egg qualities get cut in half. And then by 40, the half that was cut is now halved again, right? And then as you get older, it just keeps getting half. So your half is getting half every time. So it just gets harder. And it's a sad reality, that's why I said, where I'm going back to it, women are terrible role models and give terrible advice. While men, I believe women should look up to men more for advice. Where I believe, which is the saddest thing, Kevin Samuels would have been the role model for women. Because he said it, right? You are being deluded to think that you can go for your bachelor's, PhDs, have a career, and then later on focus on finding a man and then, marriage and have kids, because as you get older, things don't get easier for a woman. Finding a man doesn't get easier because it's a sad reality. Men prefer women that are younger. It's just, I mean, in general, men do. And one, your body is not necessarily, at optimal position, optimalness to have children.
Whew. All right, so we
I
talked
can't
about
believe you don't see the logic in it, man.
no, because we're talking a lot about body functions and having children and that being the reason for all of this. All right, so take a guy like Nick Cannon, right?
Uh-huh.
That is like, he's got to be the prime example of the guy who can have all the children they want, right?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. But can he be a good father to all those children?
No, I don't say Nick Cannon is a good role model either.
Okay. I agree. I agree. I mean, if we're taxing a woman for waiting too late in life to have a child because it's difficult. But if a man can have a child when he's 50 with a younger woman,
Yeah,
but isn't going to have the energy to be a good father to that child.
I said it. I mean,
don't they have to bear some accountability for that too?
Well, I said, right? If he's a decent man, see, the thing is, like, I don't know about you, right? And I don't know how active. I don't know the level your father was active in your life, but in general, men do not have to be. Men are not naturally the nurturing, the nurturer, right? They don't have to be that active. I think men to be present in a child's life, that's 100% sure. They can guide a child, discipline a child, give children advice, but you don't need to be there at every moment in your child's life.
So you're saying it's more important for the mother to be in a child's life than it is for the father to be in a child's life?
No, no. I'm saying that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that you don't have to be at the same level. I think women are natural nurturers, right? They are women that just like we're built within them. So they nurture, they baby, they are there throughout a child's life. Men just need to be present, be active, but they do not need to be hovering over a child.
But
they
won't that argument backfire on you if you're if we've talked before about how the rules, the laws aren't fair for fathers, right? And single mothers are bad for society, but it's more important for a mother to be in a child's life at a high level than it is for a father to be.
Yeah, but that doesn't.
Those are like opposing arguments.
No, they're not, because that doesn't.
That's the argument that they're going to use to justify not letting a man see his kids except on weekends, and making sure he just gives half of his checkup to her every.
No, because that's not being an active. I mean, like, that's being told when. See, that's the difference, right? You're telling a man when you can see the child. No, it is a man to, like, I said it, be an active part in your child's life, right? I'm not saying that, like, even though, like, women, let's say if a woman is still being like, she's feeding the child, I don't know, helping the child's homework or cleaning the child, stuff like that. Men don't need to do that. They don't need to. I'm saying if they do it, great. I'm not saying that they don't do it. I'm just saying, like, they don't need to do every part of the child rearing where, that is there, because it's a partnership. Because because I think that's the argument that women do use, because then at the end of the day, you negate that he's working to provide for his family. You negate that because men typically, generally, are the ones, I don't know, 8 in the morning to, I don't know, 5, 6 at night, working. So really, that's what I'm saying. And then in the morning, he can say he kisses child, check on how he's doing. At night, check on his child, kiss him, maybe read him a book. That's being active, but that doesn't necessarily mean that, like, that he's not there in their life. You see them every day, but those, maybe hour in the morning, maybe 2, 3 hours, 4 hours at night, that's still very important, because that's a counterbalance, right, to the feminine role, where a woman is the nurturer, men are the disciplinarians, right? If you take he's not going to discipline them 2 weekends out of a month. That doesn't effectively give a man control over a child's disciplinarian life. That doesn't. So really, it's a terrible argument that, yeah, women do use, but that's a terrible argument because you're not being an active participant in your rearing of your children. And I know that. Okay. So it's a terrible argument.
And I agree. But what I'm saying is I still don't feel like you can have it both ways, because
both ways?
Because if then a woman uses that argument, right, to take the majority of custody of the kids and take the money from the man and say, you only need to see him so many hours a week, and I just need your money, and you don't need to be in their life. And then you say, well, I need to be a more active part of their life, and you prevent me from doing that. And I mean, what would you say if someone comes up to you and said, well, you chose a bad woman?
Okay. I mean, look at this, right? We're going to go back to it, where at the end of the day, if her parents, right, stuck together and show the example of what I'm talking about, she would have a good role model to be like, because I'm saying that, like, the court, like you said before, we have outside forces that destroy families, and the court system, which I'm against, right, is another active participant in destroying families, because we did it again, just like I said about welfare. We give women these rights that are, and it is a reality. Yeah, it's unfair, but we give these women these rights so they can easily break up families. Welfare is one. The court system is 100% another, where they can get child support for man. And I've seen a case where it's 50-50 custody and they still get child support. I mean, that's another thing where, again, you're just saying that, like, we are bailing out women for having choices where there's no consequences, because they're being bailed out. Either it's welfare or it's either child support, alimony, shit like that, because of the government not caring about families, especially minority families, because they give people leeways or safety nets to fall back on, where, okay, you as a mother, as a wife, don't need to fight for your relationship. You don't need to work hard to make this relationship work. Because why? Because you know what? You can leave this man, find another man, and while you find another man, we're going to make this man pay for his own kids to be away from him and pay for you to leave him. So what person would look a gift horse in the mouth? Oh, wow, I don't need to make this relationship work. I can look for another man that, you know what, maybe I want to see more, right? And the government's giving me money. So really, why would I take this shit? I don't need to work hard to value my marriage vows.
Well, I gotta
and
ask.
Again, it falls under the woman because they still have that power. The government gave them that power, along with the power of being a mom, choosing who comes as a dad. Women overwhelmingly have the power in society. So I'm going back to it. With great power comes great responsibility. Yet women are abusing that power and neglecting the responsibility. It's like, and and it may seem like I'm being emotional and I'm arguing a lot, but I want my brother to see the light. Okay.
So then here's a question.
Yeah.
It kind of shifts the discussion a little bit, but what would we encourage a man to do about women getting bad advice or not having good role models?
You know what I think, right? Is I'm going back to it, where what we're doing now is that men are controlling the narrative. Like this right here. You would not see this 30 years ago. You won't see men coming on any kind of, because men don't have control on TV, but men are not coming on a platform to voice the struggles, right? Voice the problems of society to try to affect change. So that's why I said someone like Kevin Samuels, not started it, but he was a part of it, where whether you agree with him or not, he was a man trying to affect change, having a man putting out his voice for the public to hear and see, to hopefully affect that change. Hopefully holding that mirror to women, saying that you have the power. You're actually more powerful than you claim you're not to be, right? You have the power. And to change the direction of society, you have to see what is wrong. What are you doing wrong? What are the problems that you are following, the cycle that you are repeating, right? They said it. Your mom is a single mother. Well, now you're a single mother. Okay? Now you have children that will more than likely, because of statistics, because of examples that they see, will become single parents, single mothers. You need to break that struggle. You need to break that cycle where, fine, don't have multiple children by the man, right? It's just a lot of things, right? A lot of things we could say is that you have to be the example. You have to be the one to be the Rosa Parks, right? You have to be the one to revolutionize at least your family line. That's the problem, where you don't have to be the one to, change all society, but you have to be the one to change your family line. That's the issue. If every single Black woman just hear that thought, right? You have to be the one to change how your family has always been. Well, that should trickle down to other women, right? That's what I'm saying. Like, don't be what your mom was, right? You have values, stick with them. If you want a marriage, I say with whatever, but I'll be clear and direct. You want to be a career woman? Great, do it. Which I'm going to do with my daughter, right? Don't be deluded. You have two choices, and these are not absolute choices, but you either be a career woman or a family woman. The likelihood of you being both will make it. If you can, amazing, great. You are lucky. But if you to strive or hope for both, you're deluding yourself. That's why I would say to my daughter is that you're deluding yourself. I'm saying you want to be a career woman, great, but do not change your mind and blame society and blame men at 35 and 40 that, why I want a family now? Why can't I get a family? Well, you chose your path. Okay? You have to, accountability. All right? My channel is all about accountability. You have to know what you did in life that gets you the results that you have. You're a career woman, well, then stick with that. If you're a family woman, well, you have to do that early. You can have a job, 2 household income is great, but your main focus is finding a moral man with good characters, a man with a personality, a man I will evaluate to be a proper man, right? If you love him or not, well, that's good, right? That's a plus. But I should have. That's a problem too. Fathers are not a part of it, which is that's the detriment, right? Because now these single mothers don't have their fathers because their mothers were single too, to help them in the process. And I think that's where me and you may be on the same page, where we should be a part of the mate selection, because women are, I don't know, deluded. They're highly emotional. So they just fall in love with this man and think that this man's going to be amazing. No, but he works at McDonald's, right? And he's had 2 other baby mamas. I don't think I don't think this is a good man. Okay? As much as you love him. So that's all the thing where I'm saying, like, so this is the point where I believe men, if women actually listen to men, I think that's the effect of change.
Okay. I hear you. It makes sense. I would also just try and encourage more men to be the type of high character persons who can be the next great generation of fathers, right? Like, we want men who, so I mean, it means making a good decision when you pick a woman, and it means being willing to provide for her and your children, and being willing to be there for them in their lives as an active participant. Because I think that for what am I trying to say? I think that's a quick way to ruin a relationship is to go in for the fun part, right? The making of the child is the fun part, but the taking care of a family is the work.
Yes.
And it might be a good idea for to help our men understand that, to start associating the fun part with the work as well, so that we aren't just, getting by like, hey, look, it's in our nature to want to have sex and reproduce. That's like our job. But what separates us from, and not even always from the animal kingdom, because even the patriarchs of the animal kingdom, they most of the time stick around and take care of their families, right? We want to teach more men to be willing to do that work. Like, if you want to have a family, or if you want to just have sex, I mean, I guess use protection if you're not willing to do the work that's required to take care of a woman and children.
I mean, we could say more, but please use protection.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. I get it. It feels good to finish in a woman, but come on, don't. But anyway, we can continue that. I want to show you some more these few videos.
Okay, let's go.
And then get into a longer one.
Okay.
But I think these are more telling videos.
Like, we didn't create welfare, we were handed it. But welfare gave us all that we needed to say fuck. And then we wonder why we have to return our children to their fathers, which is the prison system. Because the government is your baby daddy. Now give us our son. We fed him through food stamps. We housed him through HUD and Section 8. We the baby daddy. Give us our child. And they get to the point where they come collect. And now we look, and it's a pandemic, and it's an epidemic of melanated men in the prison system. Going back to their daddy, Uncle Sam, who raised them. Via food stamps and welfare and Section 8. And if we don't do something about it, we'll just continue to perpetuate the cycle.
What do you think?
I hear her. I know we just talked about this a little bit earlier. I don't know if that means that the answer is not to take advantage of the programs when you need them, but yes, we should be.
But see, that's the thing, right? I said it before.
Mm-hmm.
Is that and I agree. It has to be See, that's what I'm saying. We don't use it as an extreme case, right? Where it's the last resort. I believe society, especially Black culture, use it as a plan B, right? It's not like it's less as it's more like a plan B, less like an abortion, right? It's like, okay, let's just fine tomorrow, welfare on tomorrow. It's just we're not using like, oh my god, I don't know if this is a good idea. Oh, I shouldn't do this. Like, oh, I have to work on this failed marriage, or I have to make this man marry me, or stuff like that, where you have to, it's the last resort. He's abusing me. I gotta leave him. I'm on welfare. Okay, I get that. But it's a last resort. That's what I'm saying. Where we use it as our net, where we're not scared of leaving a man because we have this safety net.
I think we can agree that we have to teach. Just saying that we have to have children, we have to teach them to be responsible. We have to teach them to make good decisions. We have to be active participants in their lives to do that. So they don't make decisions that put them in situations where they have to rely on assistance.
Here's more. I want your reaction.
Okay.
Would y'all rather have a bad boyfriend or an abusive boyfriend?
I'd rather have an abusive boyfriend. I don't want that
What is wrong with y'all? And who is raising these type of women? You would rather have a man that beats on you or verbally mistreats you over a fat person? We got to do better than this, because this is just crazy.
Would y'all rather?
What do you think?
That's disturbing.
This is I'm
But-
sorry. This is why I said it again. Who's raising these women? Well, I'm sorry, single mothers.
So I don't know that for a fact for those three girls, but okay. Let's say it's
Found the probability.
let's say it's true. Let's say it's true. I would use that to argue why a more experienced woman is better than a younger woman, because they're children, they're babies, but young people
in general, right? I mean, although
in general is not.
well, okay, let's say this, right? In general, I'm not. They're babies. I'm not saying an older man to date them. I'm just saying in general, right? Let's say even if she's they're 18, right?
Mm-hmm.
If a man that's 30, and I'm saying a good decent man. I'm not saying terrible man, right? A good decent man. Get with a woman like that, even though she has that kind of ideals, it's because she's getting that image from her mother. So, but she's not living that image yet. So, a good decent man who is a leader, who is wise, will get with a woman like this who thinks like that, but he can effectively teach her better, right? Guide her better, and it's more susceptible. And let's say change that fact where the same type of thinking, she's in a 35-year-old body. She ain't gonna listen to you, because it's like who are you to tell me how men aren't or how whatnot? Like, it's attitude. Is because as you get older, you're more set in your ways. So I think that's a kind of even younger women can think like very toxic, but they are not as, they're still malleable. I mean, it sounds bad, but they're still kind of malleable, where they are willing to take guidance and leadership. Because if a man sees he can provide for a woman, even a young woman, she will see that, okay, this man is wiser beyond his years. He's established. He's a good, decent man. Maybe I should listen to him. Now, a woman that's 35 and still has this mentality, it's like, I don't need a man. I have my own. I don't care what you say. I can pay my own car, pay my own house. I got my own shit. I don't need you. So I don't care what you say. That's the difference.
Okay. All right. Whew. You got another one?
Let's see. Okay, this is something else. We could continue more, but it might be going long. So I want to talk about more of this. We'll probably talk more, in essence, stuff like this in future episodes because there's always a lot to talk about. So, but I want to get into these two longer videos. Oh, let's go with the thing that you showed me, right? The Keke Palmers.
Okay, yeah, you play Keke Palmer.
If you were married,
Okay.
10 years.
What the fuck, man?
If you were
Okay, this is that one.
if you were married, 10 years, kids, and then in the 10th year you get cheated on, are you leaving?
It depends on if he's showing me contrition or not. Why did this happen? Why didn't you talk to me? Was there a problem in our marriage, or is there a problem going on with you? Is this a midlife crisis? Is this something that I need to understand what's going on. But I do think that forgiveness is a major part of love.
Mhm.
A lot of people don't want to admit that. Now, I'm not saying you need to be forgiving a dude every dang on day. You know what I'm saying? For something major, you know what I'm saying? Like, you got to be able to set your boundary lines and whatever your hard lines are. But I feel like I have learned throughout my life because I've cut a lot of people off. I'm one of those people that's like, you did me wrong, you hurt me, we're done. Numbers change, you're blocked.
Yeah.
And I've learned that that's not right. I've lost a lot of people, or I have just found myself very alone because it's like, well, girl, somebody gonna hurt you once or twice, like including your mama and your daddy and your family members. Like, you're gonna be hurt by people because people are not perfect.
If you were married,
All right, your reaction first before I say anything.
Okay, so I think that's a great mindset for a woman, because she will thinking about, I'm going to work through it. I'm going to understand the situation instead of just relying on my emotion. Because for women, it's going to be emotional. Where yes, a man did her wrong. Oh, I'm in high emotional state of mind. So yes, that is great advice. And I hope that, I guess it's a kind of a counter, but it's more like, I'm not saying nothing's impossible. I'm not saying there's no such woman that gives advice or that's not a good role model. I'm saying, like, in general, what she says is not going to spread out enough to enough women, because not enough women are saying the same things she says. More women will say the opposite, where I'm going to leave this man. I don't care what he does. Or I'm going to cheat on this man because he cheated on me. Stuff like that, where here's a woman that, yes, she's taking a step back and, you know what, trying to understand the problem and trying to maybe fix the problem, right? And not trying to react on emotion, but take a step back and react on logic.
Okay. So I agree with you when you said, like, that's a very good mindset to have. I like the point she made about forgiveness being part of love and part of a relationship. So that's awesome. I'm glad she had that mindset. She made a point that she hasn't always had that mindset. So it came with experience, which is why I don't think that experience for a woman is always a bad thing. That's one. Two, I think she's giving good advice. There's a Black woman giving good advice. Three, here's a thing that kind of rubs me the wrong way. You take an example, and it rubs me the wrong way personally because I think this happens to Black people a lot, to minorities, but I think it happens specifically to Black people, and I think it happens to Black women a lot. You take an example, like a bad example of someone, like say the lady we saw in the first video, and you apply it across the board. See, that's how Black women are. I don't think that's fair, because here's a good example of a Black woman, right? Almost like basically the polar opposite of that first video we watched. And we're not saying, see, here's how Black women are. The more you repeat the idea that a certain group of people is this way, the easier it is to believe. The easier it is to convince them to believe it. I know because I've seen it happen to my own community, right? If you say it loud enough that black men are criminals, are uneducated and bad fathers, everybody's going to believe it. And even the next generation of black men coming up are gonna believe it. That's not helping to break any cycles, right? I don't think it's fair to just take negative examples and say this is how this whole group is, because I think there are as many positive examples, and I think she's one.
So much to debunk. Now, let me say this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, what she said is a great example,
Mm-hmm.
right? And if she, although it's just one thing, so I don't know how she lives her life to be a full role model, but what she said is great advice. I could 100% agree with that. What I disagree with you on is that, one, here's a quote that I've heard and I want to use too, is that a smart man learns from his mistakes, but a wise man learns from other people's mistakes. So I'm not saying particularly her, but I'm saying like, let's say if another girl, right, learn that way of thinking, instead of having the life experience to now know what to do, instead of if she learned it in her 20s from her mom or her father, from her parents, that would have saved her more time instead of having to learn it yourself. That's the thing where I said wisdom matters. Yes, okay, life experience is great. I'm not discounting life experience, but you got to see she's now alone. So her life experience has brought her to, yes, a great understanding, a great mindset, but it's gave her all these traumas that she's had to experience throughout this life experience. So I believe you did. I mean, I've said before, men and women are different. So I don't believe she needed to go through these traumatic situations to gain that experience, to gain that knowledge, because she could extract that knowledge from, a good role model, her parents or whatever, and then actually live that experience, live that mindset in her 20s. She could have lived it early instead of having, oh my God, I had to go through terrible men, have terrible relationships, do terrible things. And now I understand it, but it still will affect you psychologically, right? There's something, it's not a good thing, in my opinion. So
I guess I think that's true whether you're a man or a woman, right? Because you said it. You said a wise man learns from his you said a smart man learns from his mistakes, but a wise man learns from other people's mistakes. I think that is true across the board. If you are dealing with a woman who has a lot of trauma and had to learn from their own mistakes, I mean, it's unfortunate if she had to go through that, but if she's making better decisions now, I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's right to tie her worth to her trauma. You see what I'm saying? Because we don't do it with men. And dumb man will make the same mistakes over and over again. And an unwise man will need to get himself scarred up and emotionally hurt to finally learn from his mistakes, right? But we're not saying that a man's trauma, but we're saying that a man's trauma or a man going through things makes him stronger, but it makes a woman weaker.
Okay, I can tell you this, right? You keep on trying to equalize things. I'm saying this, that scars on men are attractive to women, right? Metaphorically or physically. It's just how it is. So men going through, like I've said please check out our last episode, a man from rock bottom, and if he could, right? He's at rock bottom, becoming, getting out of rock bottom to become a great man. The scars on along the way, the change in personality, the hardship he had to go through, right, is attractive to women because you gain those scars, you gain more masculinity. Becoming stronger is synonymous to men. It's not to women. Men do not find battle scars on women attractive. Women do not need to become stronger in personality and whatever. They don't need to become it to become attractive to men or to add value to a man. But a man that's on rock bottom, get these battle scars, become a stronger, more masculine man, right, is more attractive to women and, more importantly, brings value to a woman. So, yes, you're right. A wise man, I mean, like I said, that quote does apply to men. I agree. But it's not necessarily, I mean, if he could, right, if a man in his 20s, right, becomes what he could have been in his 30s early on, that's great, right? But again, it's unfair. The world's unfair. So he has the leeway to become rock bottom, to go through the process of becoming stronger, right? And become the best version he can. While women, they are already naturally the best version they are already at the beginning. They don't need to necessarily change anything, right? Or go through traumas to gain any kind of life experience to be more valuable to a man. Because really, men and women value each other for different things. So really, I mean, one of the biggest value a woman gives a man is her body. You don't need to go through, life experience to give that value to a man.
Okay, so when I apply, all right, so said a lot. A man, I hope a woman isn't attracted to a man just because he has scars, because you could be attracted to the wrong type of man and he could hurt you, right? So a man who has gone through adversity and has learned how to deal with it,
correct, yeah,
is someone who is gotten stronger.
Yeah.
And that may present as more masculine, but it'll also present as being smarter, as making better decisions, and having a confident disposition because you know what you're talking about, right? And a woman, if she's gone through trauma and she hasn't learned how to handle that trauma, that may present as a form of masculinity. I don't need any man, forget men, forget, I can do things by myself.
Yeah.
And she doesn't like the opposite sex. And I can understand how that could happen. But a woman who's gone through adversity, now I'm not going to say, because trauma, when we say trauma, sometimes that means different things for different people. Trauma can
I guess I'm being more general with it.
Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying. I understand. So, but a woman who's gone through adversity and learned how to handle it, when she comes out of the other side of that, it's going to present as reasonableness. It's going to present, it will, like it did in her case, in the video we watched, right? It's going to present as emotional maturity. It's going to present as knowing how to react to your emotions and express them without hurting somebody else. It's going to turn into making good decisions. It's going to turn, you're going to have a woman who, when you and her are in a partnership, and when things get tough, she's not going to crumble, right? And you have to carry her necessarily. She's going to be able to help lift you up. You guys are going to be able to carry the weight together. When you're in a bind, she's going to be like, well, I've been through something like this before. There's no need to panic. Here's something we can do. You see what I'm saying? So, and I'm saying there's a best case scenario for both. That's all I'm saying. I'm not disagreeing with you about it being good for a man to overcome adversity. I'm just saying that that best case scenario can apply to a woman too, and that's maybe what we should look for. It sucks when it doesn't work out that way for either men or women, and I can see how it's especially hurtful for women because for many reasons, but it can be pretty bad on a man too, because hurt people hurt people.
No,
That way.
I don't. Like I said, I don't. I mean, I'm not saying that every man comes in out from rock bottom is going to become a decent man. I'm not. That's not what I'm saying, right? But I'm saying what. And I'm not going to go deep into because I want you to have the last word. This is I'll let you. We're going along, so I'm letting you keep the last thing. But yeah, good. It's all best case scenario, but best case a scenario for a man, women are attracted to. Women don't usually get the best case for there's usually not the best case for a woman, right? Usually they become masculine, going through adversity. Yeah, Keke Palmer is like a good. I mean, like it's a rare best case. So that's what I'm saying. I'm about to end this show, but I want to do a bonus episode because I want you to react to 2 videos, right? So we're gonna end this.
Okay.
End it, and I'm gonna do a bonus episode, right? Because I think I want to hear your reaction on this one, right?
Okay.
So again, please subscribe because it will be helpful to us because it's motivation, right? We're not looking to be fresh and fit or anything, right? But it's just like it's motivation. We're not looking to make money or anything. It's just it motivates us because we feel like we're affecting or giving a voice to men, right? And having a good, fun debate or conversation. It feels like people like it if people watching and subscribe for it. So it really helps us out. So if you do, thank you. I think this was a fun, great conversation. So please check out our other episodes too. This will be that's it. So I hope you guys had fun and see you guys later.
I had a blast. I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.